Hey everyone, Minus here from Pantheon Plus, and tonight I had to get this video put together quickly because Chris Joppa Perkins just dropped some major news about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen's death penalty system. So buckle in and let's discuss the news.
Pantheon Plus.
Tonight at roughly 11:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a ping hit the Pantheon MMO unofficial Discord from Joppa himself, explaining some final details about exactly what will happen when you die within the world of Terminus. He broke the news by giving the following bullet points, which I will also give my opinion on. So let's get started with those. Number 1, you will return to your bind spot after death. So this means that you better be sure to bind near your dedicated areas of adventure, or you're in for a long run back. Hopefully we'll get more information on the binding system soon to further discuss this feature in even more depth in a future video. Number 2 is that you will lose X% of your current experience towards the next level. So in my opinion, the way that this is worded in particular, but I want to be clear that I'm speculating on this, that Joppa is specifically saying towards the next level. Now that makes me think that at this moment, de-leveling is not in the cards for experience loss, and I think that for the most part, this is a good thing. Now the alternative to experience loss, which some have hoped for, is experience debt. Now for those of you that don't know, experience debt is essentially a debt which you have to pay off to continue earning experience within a level. Now this works great in like EQ for example, where they have AA points. However, without the carrot of a continuous leveling system, EXP debt actually becomes meaningless at max level. The only way EXP debt could actually work to be punishing at all is maybe if it was put into deteriorating your ability to earn mastery, for example, and that could work. With that said, the wording used currently makes me feel like there is no de-leveling, so I'm curious to what this means at max level, because if this is removed from a fear of dying at max level, it will slightly hurt the entire experience of fearing death, but I'm sure we're going to get more answers on that in the future. The next point that he made was that you will take a large durability hit to worn equipment. Now this did come with a slight caveat in which he stated that this would obviously only occur if they implement a durability system, but in the same line of text he says they probably will. Now durability and repair costs come hand in hand, and I think that they're very important pieces in sinking gold within the economy. For those of you that may not be familiar with this term, it essentially means removing gold from the game world to help keep its value. If there are not enough gold sinks in the game, this will mean that item values will skyrocket to hundreds and thousands or even millions of whatever currency is the preferred currency. Keeping the value of a single piece of currency is extraordinarily important, and I think that the durability system is a simple way to help this cause, which in turn creates a more stable economy within any game world. I think it's a good thing that in most modern MMORPGs, this durability/repair system is something that keeps the economy strong, and I think that it should be in Pantheon as well. Not everything modern is bad. Now the next bullet point that Joppa spoke to is that you will respawn with the gear you were wearing when you died, still equipped. Now this is a massive win in my opinion for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, and something I think they needed to modernize from the EQ way of doing things. As it stands right now, Pantheon may be, at least on paper, the most difficult challenging MMORPG we've ever seen. If we look back at EQ, I think a lot of the difficulty came from not being familiar with the genre or challenges we would face. With MMORPGs having a much larger fan base and experiencing so much of the genre, I think looking back at EQ now, it's a lot easier than we remember it being, or that most EQ hardcore fans want to believe. Dying in EQ and having all your gear in your corpse was certainly an inconvenience, but usually you could find your way back to your corpse one way or another without too much tragedy. With the difficulty being planned for Pantheon, I feel like it's counterintuitive to tell a group to go get their corpses without their items. I know some may debate me on this point, but I think it means that you'll still have your corpse runs due to the next bullet point. which states that all general inventory items will remain on the corpse and it must be looted to retrieve these items. That also includes in-game currency. This is a great compromise to keep the corpse run mechanic in the game but provide an alternative way to modernize the approach. Again, if Pantheon is as challenging as we are to believe it'll be, fighting back to your corpse with your group will still be perilous, time-consuming, but worth that time because you'll want your items back. To add to this, because items are not soul-bound, this could mean that items you've replaced on your run, which still have value, will still be there on your corpse, and leaving them could cause a severe loss of capital for the player. There's meaning to getting your corpse back, your bags back, your items back, and especially your in-game currency. Joppa would then wrap it up with the final bullet point that stated resurrection abilities will return the same amount of lost EXP from all priest classes. So aside from getting your items back, your gold back, you also still have a chance to get some of that lost experience back. So this is another reason to fight back to your corpse. And again, more reason that death is meaningful and you can't just ignore it. Now there is certainly questions to be asked here with the way it was stated. While all priest classes are said to boast the same EXP return from resurrections, you will still wonder if early level reses will be lesser than, let's say, max level. Maybe at the beginning of the game, you can only get back 40% of the lost experience, and hopefully at the end of the game, you can get closer to 90%. These are all things we'll have to learn over time, obviously, but I hope that it's not just a general flat return from all resurrections. So all in all, I think this system is a strong death penalty system and one that a lot of people have been looking for more information on since honestly the announcement of Pantheon. While naked corpse runs will not be a thing as they were in the old days of EQ, I believe it's a smart decision to modernize the corpse run experience, yet still keep it punishing. The one thing I keep going back to on all of this is that Pantheon's overall challenge will be one of severity, much harder than the days of EQ. And I think that respawning with gear will allow groups to fight back. You're still being penalized more than any other game in the MMO genre right now. You'll lose experience, you return to your bind point, not a localized respawning point, plus you'll lose your gear that you had in your bags and everything in your inventory, and you'll still lose your in-game currency. This penalizes you, but yet still gives you a reason to fight your way back. I understand that some will say seeking out the help of other groups adds to socialization, and I can somewhat agree to that. But I think the compromise of trying to find help for sometimes an hour or more, and instead allowing your group to try to redeem itself by fighting back to where they fell, is very important. Even more so when you think about raiding and dungeon bosses that will pose difficult challenges. This plays better in my opinion as well due to the disposition system, where you may get caught off guard from time to time, and you may wipe. Finally, this also plays even more into the focus of Pantheon in putting in the preparation time. We've talked about that in LAS and in different aspects of how you get your group together. And in this case, it makes preparing for your adventure by banking your items in your inventory or your gold even more important. And what's neat about this is that it's really the first time I can remember in a long time that I needed to put my in-game currency in a bank. And having to go to a bank to store these items and my currency, well, it brings more people back to town or to a city to get ready for that journey. It really brings my hopes up that it's one more piece of the puzzle in keeping the cities of Terminus alive and well. So, what are your thoughts on this announced death system? Do you think it keeps death as meaningful? Do you think it's too much? Or do you yearn for the days of naked corpse runs? In my opinion, they're knocking it out of the park with these decisions. But as always, with Pantheon Plus, we really want to know what you think. Let us know in the comments below or in our Discord. So until next time.